Welcome back, folks, to Let's Play Star Trek Judgement Rites. And when last we left off, we were on our way to the Onius system, specifically Onius 2. We apparently received some sort of signal from there, but beyond that there's nothing else that would take us to that system. So we don't know what to expect, and I don't think Spock is going to tell us anything different.
I advise referring to the star map and setting a course for the Onius system, Captain.
Indeed, and we shall do that. And also, we shall make sure that we have that set up, because it does remove that every time you load the actual game up. There we go. Now, if only they actually put, labels on this map. But Onius is here. It's not far from where Espar Station was. So let's go. Engage! And don't get lost.
Approaching Onius 2, Captain.
Excellent.
It may be nothing, Captain, but a scan of the planet's atmosphere indicates a high concentration of rare gases trapped in the planet's magnetosphere. Atmospheric disturbances could produce random radio waves.
That might explain why we're here.
It wouldn't be the first time, Mr. Spock, but we'll never be able to tell if we don't check it out. After all, to seek out new life and new civilizations is our mission, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
That is true.
A split infinitive, Captain.
What?
What?
Yeah, you and me both, Kirk.
The proper grammatical expression is to go boldly where no man has gone before.
Doesn't sound as good.
Somehow, I think it loses a little in the translation.
I agree. Well, let's enter into orbit.
Entering standard orbit.
Thank you, Mr. Zulu. We've been here before. Pretty sure we've been to this planet before. I think, anyway. Well, let's talk to Spock.
Fascinating, Captain. Sensors indicate only 2 faint life forms. It is difficult to distinguish, given the discharges in the planet's magnetosphere. It is, however, safe to transport to the planet's surface.
Excellent. That's what I want to hear, because that's exactly what we're going to do. The only thing we need to do here is teleport down. With the transporters.
Captain, our sensors will not be particularly useful to you while you're down there, and communications may be erratic, sir.
Well, that's not atypical to what's typically been going on. I mean, I think there's only been one of these missions so far where we've actually been able to communicate with the Enterprise.
We'll be fine, Lieutenant. What reason is there to worry?
Well, I don't know. I mean, how many times have you gotten into serious bother when you've teleported down to a planet, Kirk?
I'm afraid, Captain, there are plenty of precedents. We'll be here if you need us.
Thank you.
I have no doubt of that.
Excellent.
I have tracked the signal to its source. It is near the life forms. The rest of the planet is quite desolate. No sign of life or technology. The atmosphere is thin, but breathable. And I detect numerous micrometeorite hits.
Doesn't sound like a very nice place to live.
There are 3 unformed planets in this system. It's no wonder. There are so many micrometeorites. I'm surprised any Class M planet hasn't been pulverized by now.
I'm surprised too.
It is not inconceivable, but it is certainly unusual.
Very.
Let's do it, Spock. You, McCoy, and I. Oh, and tell Bones to see if a genetic specialist's available. If there are only 2 life forms, we might be privileged to see life at its earliest stages.
That means that the 4th person with us is not a red shirt. Probably gonna be wearing a blue shirt. Indeed, I was right. No red shirts again. 4 missions in a row.
Seems to me as if we've landed on a skeleton after the vultures have picked it clean.
That's not a bad analogy, McCoy.
A fascinating analogy, Doctor. Captain, the locus of the distress signal is in that building.
Yeah, this place just looks grim.
I think the doctor is right. Anything good here died a long time ago. It feels creepy to me.
Creepy?
Thank you for that opinion, Mr. Johns. I'll be certain to use creepy in my log entry about this.
You're probably going to as well, if, I know Kirk. Let's look at everything, because that's always very important in this game.
The building, which is old and pitted with micrometeorite strikes, appears ancient, and if built by humanoids, was created for tall individuals.
Fair enough.
The doorway is unobstructed and appears normal except that it is taller and slightly more narrow than a terrestrial doorway.
Yeah, the wind and the music is doing a brilliant job of conveying how dead this world is. It's very dead.
This seems pointless.
Clicking a little, there we go. I wanted to click around here, but obviously here isn't rock, but here is rock.
A natural tower of rocks, apparently volcanic.
Fair enough.
The dry, dusty red dirt cakes your boots in a thin patina that will be difficult to brush off.
In time, it will brush off.
The dry, dusty red...
What about here?
This world is arid and rather hard, with alkali dust choking your nostrils.
Well, there's only one thing we can do then, and that's scan everything, Spock. We want to know what's going on around here before we actually head in. Over to you, Spock.
As improbable as it might seem, I am getting multiple life form readings from inside this building.
That's pretty improbable. What about the doorway?
My readings indicate that a force field was here until very recently.
That is unusual. Why would there be a force field there?
A form of granite, Captain, primarily composed of potash feldspar.
Oh, fair enough. What about the actual, planet itself?
Nothing unusual about that object, Captain.
Alright, what about the ground? Scan everything, Spock!
The vast majority of the water on this world is trapped within the rocks beneath the ground. It is unlikely that it could be harvested commercially because of the amount of energy it would take to free it. The world is quite normal, though the rocks are rather sparse in silicates. The planet is habitable, but unsuitable for colonization.
Thank you for that information, Mr. Spock. Now let's look at all of the crew.
Dr. Leonard McCoy appears uneasy on this inhospitable world.
Fair enough.
Spock frowns slightly as if distracted by your scrutiny.
Oops, sorry about that. I'll carry on, Spock.
Ensign Johns looks around nervously and mutters under his breath.
What about?
James T. Kirk, as always, appears fit, alert, and ready for the challenges of the universe.
Well, all we can do before we go in, I think, is talk to everyone.
A magnificent desolation. Reminds me of a summer I spent on Mars climbing Olympus Mons.
You do climb a lot of things.
You're kidding, right?
Nope, he most certainly is not kidding.
Well, I think I've finally found something I dislike more than having my molecules scrambled. This world.
It's not that bad.
Bones, stop complaining. There's nothing wrong with this place aside from a little dust.
I mean, you can breathe. Imagine if you could beam down here and it's like, actually, Captain, we're lying. About the, well, the retards were lying. We're all going to die. And then they all died. That would be worse, wouldn't it?
It strikes me as unlikely, Captain, that this world is capable of sustaining the society and culture needed to generate the distress signals we have been receiving from here.
Well, it's unlikely, but it happened. What do you have to say, Johns?
Forgive me for saying so, sir, but this place is pitiful.
It's not much to look at, no. Well, nothing more to do here except head inside. Well, not what I expected to see.
Well, I have to hand it to whoever built this place. All this equipment looks brand new and in good repair.
Which is surprising.
Let's hope the Enterprise looks this good when it's this old.
We hope so.
We should be very careful about how we proceed, Captain. I have a strange feeling that evil is lurking nearby.
Evil?
Evil, Ensign?
Yeah, explain.
Something that wants to imperil our souls, sir. We must avoid that at all costs.
We'll be careful. Let's look around, shall we?
A door leading to another room.
Okay.
Aside from minor differences in styling, this looks remarkably like a Tellarite 8000 DNA sequencer.
Available now at all good Federation electronic stores. Yours for only a lot of gold-pressed rather. I wonder what gold-pressed latinum looks like. I don't want to know what that looks like.
If not for a thin covering of red dust, you would assume this DNA replicator had just been unboxed and set up.
Do they really come in boxes? How big must the box be?
Aside from minor differences in style,
I wonder what... So that's part of that. What's this?
Captain, these doors protect the unit from debris when not in use.
Oh, thank you. Anything else to look at?
a door leading to another room.
There is this green gunk.
This appears to be a patch of rust and dust that has accumulated on the machine's surface.
I don't trust that rust and dust. But we'll have a look at the crew first.
Dr. Leonard McCoy smiles as he is confronted with a familiar environment.
This environment is familiar?
Spock raises an eyebrow as he surveys the room.
Fair enough.
Ensign Johns wears his surprise at the surroundings transparently on his face.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised too.
James T. Kirk, as always, appears fit, alert, and ready for the challenges of the universe.
That is completely unchanged from being the dialogue outside. Let's talk to everyone.
Interesting equipment we have here.
Very interesting.
A DNA synthesizer and replicator. This is one of the most advanced genetic facilities I have ever seen. How unusual.
It is.
How so, Spock?
Well, we'll let him explain.
Even visitors to this planet would leave behind a substantial number of artifacts. Sending only a genetics lab does not fit established archaeological patterns.
It most certainly does not. Something is odd here, that's for sure. Something very odd is going on.
You know, a person could do serious research with a device like this. What an odd piece of equipment to find in a place like this.
It is very odd.
I haven't seen equipment like this since I interned on Talara. Such equipment. In such a place.
You mean such a desolate place? It is very, very desolate.
Save new game.
Let's actually save.
Replace previous game.
I'd made a extra save just in case I'd forgotten the location to this system, so we'll save over that. And we have 3 doors. One to the left, one ahead, and one to the right. But first, let's see what actually is in that rust. Over to you, Mr. Spock.
Readings indicate that along with oxidation and dust, there is some organic residue in the crust-like buildup.
That is not good if this is about DNA sequencing and replicating. We need to deal with that. And I know only one way to deal with that effectively. And that is with phasers. Not kill phasers, just stun phasers.
A unique use of a phaser, but adequate for removing the deposits from the apparatus.
Thank you. Now, let's head over here. Let's go left first. I'm sure we'll find out what these life forms are.
I welcome you, otherworlders. I beseech you, save us from that which seeks our destruction.
Hello, Visna. You actually here, or are you some sort of hologram?
How fitting for a devil to appear on a world that looks like hell.
That's a big conclusion to jump to, Johns.
Enough of that, Mr. Johns. This is just another xenobiological incident.
Indeed, McCoy.
Correction, Doctor. This is a projection of a xenobiological entity.
Thanks, Spock.
Jim, the only life form readings are within that machine behind the portal. Single-cell organisms with an extremely high reproductive rate, but a very poor metabolism and an extremely short lifespan.
That doesn't sound very good. Well, let's have a look around, shall we?
The thick glass window and the light coming from it make it difficult to see beyond it, though you get the impression of a living plasma swirling behind it.
Well, that's interesting.
A large alien computer.
It is indeed.
The monstrous projection towers over you with viscous bodily fluids oozing from sores and coagulating in long, putrid streamers. In its swollen, pus-ridden piggish eyes, you see fear mixed with cunning.
Certainly an unusual species.
Spock's face betrays no emotions.
That's not surprising.
Dr. Leonard McCoy looks intrigued by this new area to explore.
Fair enough.
James T. Kirk scrutinizes the room, his thoughts rushing along at breakneck pace.
That's quite a pace.
Ensign Johns appears horrified by the apparition that manifests in this room.
Yeah, he was very quick to express his opinion on that. Let's, before we do anything, let's actually scan this and see what's actually there.
Energy levels behind this glass are more than sufficient for having powered the distress signal we received.
Well, that explains that. Let's talk to everyone.
This machine is a genetic bank, Captain. I suspect that the projection acts as a fail-safe mechanism that will surrender samples of the genetic code for sequencing and replication when the mechanism is willing.
Well, that's handy.
How come I always come to the barren planets, Jim?
You don't always come to the barren planets. You come to very nice planets sometimes.
I can't say that I'll nominate this place for viewing in the Federation's architectural archives.
Fair enough. What do you have to say, Johns?
This place feels evil, sir. I hope we don't have to stay here very long.
We're going to be talking to the holographic projection, because we need to see what's going on. Hello, sir.
Greetings, I am James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. What can we do for you?
That's the very friendly response.
So, when do the wicked witches and goblins show up?
That is not a good response.
Your emergency beacon and statement lead me to believe you see more of an emergency than exists here.
That is also not true. There is most certainly some kind of emergency going on.
Greetings, I am James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. What can we do for you?
We always want to be friendly. Let's be friendly.
I am Visner of the Alphan people. Our race possessed this world and thrived here until the invasion by the forces of light. We are locked in a death struggle with them, for they desire our destruction. Do you aid them?
We've never met them.
No, we do not aid them.
That is true.
Wars and destruction are not things we value, Visner. Our prime directive prevents us from interfering in internal struggles, but at the request of all parties, we might negotiate a compromise.
That sounds good.
Forgive me, but I find that claim insupportable. This world, while grim, hardly looks like a battleground. Who is trying to destroy it?
Let's not agitate him.
Wars and destruction are not things we value, Visner. Our prime directive prevents us from interfering in internal struggles, but at the request of all parties, we might negotiate a compromise.
That seems more reasonable.
You open yourself to confusion in speaking with Azra, but it is understandable that you want to hear his side before acting. My assessment of you suggests that most of you will fight the clouding of logic and will see through Azra's deception. Please report to me your success.
We will. We will. I'm sure we can get that projection back at some point. Let's go over here, shall we? I wonder if we're going to see something very similar on the other side. Also, for some reason, there's a pause when you enter that room. And also, we walked a little bit to the left to walk to the right. That's not great, Kirk.
Greetings, gentle beings, and welcome. I am Azra of the Omegan people. You are the salvation we have long sought. Thank you for answering our summons.
Hello! You look the exact opposite of the person in the other room.
An angel!
Also jumping to conclusions there, John. It's just another life form.
Actually, it is the projected image of an angel, Mr. Johns.
Indeed it is projected. There'll be another life form in there. It won't look like that.
Jim, somewhere in that machine behind the portal are single-cell organisms. They have a healthy metabolism and long lifespan, but an extremely low rate of reproduction.
It sounds like that if we combined the two, we'd end up with some sort of very suitable, organism. Well, let's have a look around, shall we?
A large alien computer.
Indeed.
The thick glass window and the light coming from it make it difficult to see beyond it, though you get the impression of a living plasma swirling behind it.
Fair enough.
The golden projection gives you a clear view of a lithe, sprightly figure of great beauty. Compassionate intelligence shines from its wide eyes.
Well, it is a projection, and seeing is not always believing. So, let's have a look at everyone else before we, carry on.
James T. Kirk scrutinizes the room, his thoughts rushing along at breakneck pace.
That's exactly the same as the other room.
Spock's face displays no emotion.
Exactly the same as the other room.
Dr. Leonard McCoy looks intrigued by this new area to explore.
Exactly the same as the other room.
Ensign Johns appears transfixed by the apparition that manifests in this room.
Completely different from the previous room. And so, when we come back, folks, we will talk to Azra of the Omegans. And we shall see what this projection has to say.
Save new game. Replace
And hopefully we'll figure out what exactly is going on here, because this is rather unusual. It's almost like, well, it just seems out of place, doesn't it? On a planet that's completely barren. But I'm sure we'll figure it out. So, I'll catch you next time, folks. And I'll see you then. Later.